The arid heart of Texas baked under the relentless June sun, where red dust mingled with the lingering scent of tanned leather and campfire smoke. John Miller walked among the empty corrals of his ranch, observing the fences that had begun to rot and the barns that echoed only the wind. For 3 years, ever since Martha had been taken by tuberculosis, those lands had lost the life she had so carefully cultivated. Neighbors whispered that the 42-year-old man had become a shadow, repeating to anyone who would listen, "This ranch died with her." Nights at the Abilene saloon were his only refuge, where cheap whiskey soothed the loneliness that gnawed at his soul like rust on metal. On that sweltering Friday, oil lamps flickered over the poker tables when the wooden doors creaked open, announcing a presence that would change everything forever. Evelyn Harper emerged like a red mirage amidst the rustic saloon, her velvet dress dramatically contrasted with the dusty boots and worn hats of the men drinking and playing cards. Hailing from New Orleans, she carried the scent of magnolias and the determination of one who understands the value of business. She approached the counter with firm steps, ordered neat bourbon, and declared her intentions. She wanted to buy land in the region to establish an enterprise that would revolutionize local commerce. John, initially distrustful, felt something stir in his chest when her green eyes met his. However, the outsider's presence soon sparked the wrath of conservative ranchers who saw her boldness as a threat to the traditions that had sustained the community for generations. The town began to divide between hope and resistance. Rumors spread like weeds across the parched fields. Some residents accused Evelyn of being an adventurer, interested only in exploiting the region's wealth, while others saw in her the opportunity for renewal they so desperately needed. John found himself at the center of this emotional storm, torn between a growing attraction to the mysterious woman and loyalty to the neighbors who questioned her true intentions. Meetings at the saloon grew tense, with heated discussions extending late into the night. Evelyn, for her part, remained steadfast in her goals, presenting detailed plans that promised prosperity for the entire community. The pressure mounted daily, forcing John to confront not only his conflicting feelings, but also the future of everything he and Martha had worked for all those years. The acrid smell of smoke woke John before dawn. Running barefoot across the property, he came upon the flames voraciously devouring his main barn, licking at the wooden beams and consuming years of labor in a matter of minutes. Neighbors arrived quickly, forming human chains to fight the fire, but malicious whispers soon began to circulate. Some pointed to Evelyn as responsible, claiming she had caused the disaster to force him to sell the land. The accusation hit John like a punch to the gut. Among the still warm ashes and the eye-stinging smoke, he faced Evelyn, who had appeared to help battle the blaze. In that moment of chaos and distrust, both realized it was time to reveal truths they had preferred to keep hidden, even if it meant risking everything that had blossomed between them. The investigation revealed strange footprints and kerosene trails leading to the properties of the Thompson brothers, envious ranchers who feared losing influence with Evelyn's arrival. Confronted with the evidence, they confessed to setting the fire in hopes of driving the outsider away and keeping John isolated in his bitterness. The truth freed not only Evelyn from the accusations, but also John's heart from the chains of the past. Working side by side to rebuild what had been destroyed, he discovered that the woman in red possessed valuable knowledge of rural administration and cattle ranching. Her delicate hands proved capable of wielding tools with the same skill with which she handled numbers and contracts. Gradually, the ranch began to regain the life John believed he had lost forever, and he understood that Martha would not wish to see him languish in perpetual solitude. The Abilene saloon witnessed John Miller's quiet transformation. Where once there had been only bitterness and hopelessness, now new projects and promising partnerships flourished. Evelyn settled permanently in the region, bringing prosperity not only to the ranch, but to the entire community that had initially rejected her. The fields turned green again, the cattle multiplied in the renewed pastures, and the sound of hammers echoed through the expanding corrals. On warm summer nights, John and Evelyn shared bourbon on the porch, planning their future as they watched the stars shine over the endless Texas sky. The man who had once declared his ranch had died with his wife discovered that, in truth, it was merely waiting for the right moment to be reborn. Evelyn's red dress became a symbol of hope in a land that had learned to love again, proving that sometimes salvation arrives when we least expect it, clothed in the most improbable colors. John and Evelyn's first meeting took place on a sunny July morning, when she appeared at the ranch riding a bay horse, dressed in leather pants and a white shirt that contrasted with her natural elegance. She introduced herself formally, extending her gloved hand with the confidence of someone accustomed to negotiating with powerful men. She explained that she had studied the lands of the region and identified potential for creating a trade route that would connect small producers to markets in Houston and Dallas. John, initially skeptical, was gradually won over by her keen intelligence and technical knowledge of livestock and agriculture. They walked together through the dry fields, while Evelyn pointed out possibilities he had never considered: irrigation systems, crop diversification, and strategic partnerships that could revolutionize the local economy. Finally, he agreed to listen to her more closely, scheduling a meeting to discuss the details of her revolutionary proposal. Community resistance intensified when Evelyn began to regularly visit John's ranch. The Thompson brothers, owners of neighboring lands, spread malicious rumors about the outsider's true intentions, claiming she intended to buy all the properties in the region to resell them to large corporations from the east. At the local market, women whispered about the red dress and the newcomer's different ways, questioning whether a lady from New Orleans truly understood the challenges of rural Texan life. The local Baptist preacher even delivered a sermon about the dangers of hasty changes and the importance of preserving traditional values. John felt the social pressure grow daily, noticing suspicious glances when he walked through town and conversations that abruptly ceased when he approached. The situation became untenable when some neighbors threatened to boycott any business involving a partnership with Evelyn. Planning sessions in the ranch's makeshift office revealed Evelyn's true expertise in rural administration. She brought detailed maps, market studies, and financial projections that impressed John with their precision and viability. Together, they developed an ambitious plan that included the creation of a producers' cooperative, implementation of modern cattle-raising techniques, and establishment of a direct route for production outflow. During these meetings, John discovered that Evelyn had lost her husband in a yellow fever epidemic in Louisiana and had decided to restart her life by investing in agriculture, an area in which she had always shown natural talent. The growing intimacy between them manifested in small gestures, shared coffee cups, gazes that lingered longer than necessary, and conversations that stretched into the evening. Gradually, the ranch began to take on new life, with small renovations and improvements that signaled renewed hope. The night of the fire marked the definitive turning point in John and Evelyn's relationship. As they fought the flames side by side, covered in soot and sweat, a deep connection was forged between them, strengthened by shared adversity. The neighbors' unjust accusations only served to unite them further, creating an us-against-the-world feeling that intensified their mutual affections. During the subsequent investigation, Evelyn demonstrated her determination to clear her name, hiring a private detective from San Antonio to uncover the true culprits. John, impressed by her courage and persistence, began to defend her publicly, even confronting old friends who insisted on blaming her for the disaster. The discovery of the truth about the Thompson brothers not only exonerated Evelyn, but also revealed the envy and fear that motivated the community's resistance. That night, under the starry Texas sky, John finally admitted to himself that he had fallen in love with the brave woman who had brought hope back into his life. The reconstruction of the ranch became a joint project that symbolized the growing union between John and Evelyn. Working from dawn until dusk, they oversaw every detail of the renovation: new barns with modern technology, expanded corrals, and an irrigation system that would transform the property's productivity. Evelyn surprised everyone by demonstrating unsuspected practical skills, handling tools with dexterity, and actively participating in the construction. The community, initially reluctant, began to recognize the tangible benefits of her presence as the first economic results became evident. Small neighboring ranchers started seeking her out for advice, discovering that her knowledge could benefit the entire region. The Abilene Saloon, which had once witnessed only John's bitterness, now hosted celebrations for the successes achieved. The transformation was visible not only in the physical landscape of the ranch, but also in the renewed countenance of the man who had learned to dream again. John and Evelyn's wedding took place in a simple ceremony at the local church, with the presence of the entire community that had once rejected her. She wore a traditional white dress, but kept a red brooch on her neckline, symbolizing the color that had marked her transformative arrival in town. The Reverend, who months earlier had preached against changes, blessed the union, acknowledging that God works in mysterious ways. The celebration extended into the night at the decorated saloon, where residents shared stories of how the couple's partnership had benefited their own lives. The Thompson brothers, after serving time in the county jail, returned asking for forgiveness and an opportunity to participate in the cooperative Evelyn had created. John, watching his new wife dance with the neighbors who once feared her, smiled, understanding that Martha would be proud to see him happy again. The ranch he had deemed dead flourished as never before, proving that sometimes we need to lose everything to discover what truly matters in life. 6 months after the wedding, the Miller-Harper Ranch had become the most prosperous in the region, attracting visitors from neighboring counties interested in learning about the innovations implemented by the couple. Evelyn established an office in town from where she coordinated the cooperative that now included 15 small local producers. Mornings began early, with John overseeing the cattle in the renewed pastures, while his wife reviewed contracts and negotiated prices with buyers from large urban centers. The irrigation system they installed had transformed arid fields into green pastures, increasing grazing capacity by 40%. During the afternoons, the couple walked the property together, planning expansions and improvements that would benefit not only their business, but the entire community. Conversations on the porch, accompanied by chilled lemonade and the sound of crickets, revealed shared dreams of transforming Abilene into a leading agricultural hub in Texas. Their marital happiness was reflected in every corner of the revitalized ranch. The arrival of winter brought unexpected challenges that tested the solidity of John and Evelyn's partnership. A prolonged drought threatened the pastures, forcing them to implement emergency strategies to keep the cattle fed and hydrated. Evelyn demonstrated her leadership capacity by organizing a water rationing system among the cooperative members, ensuring that no single producer was individually harmed. John, in turn, used his decades of experience in the region to identify hidden artesian wells that could be temporarily exploited. Together they faced sleepless nights, calculating costs, renegotiating contracts, and seeking creative solutions to overcome the crisis. The community, which had once viewed Evelyn with suspicion, now sought her for guidance and support. During a tense meeting at the church, she proposed a collective investment plan in water infrastructure that would ensure the region's long-term sustainability, definitively consolidating her position as a respected leader. The spring of 1887 marked a new phase of growth when Evelyn announced she was expecting their first child. The news spread quickly through town, received with enthusiasm by neighbors who now considered the couple a fundamental part of the community. John was radiant, dividing his time between caring for his pregnant wife and preparing to further expand the ranch's operations. Evelyn, even facing the first morning sickness of pregnancy, remained active in business administration, adapting her routine without abandoning the responsibilities she had assumed. Afternoons on the porch took on new meaning, with discussions about baby names and plans for the family's future. The construction of a nursery in the main house symbolized the definitive transformation of the home that once echoed only loneliness. The doctor from San Antonio, specially called to monitor the pregnancy, praised the healthy living conditions the couple maintained, predicting a calm birth for the following autumn. The birth of Sarah Miller occurred on a golden October morning, attended by the county's most experienced midwife and surrounded by the affection of neighbors who took turns caring for Evelyn. John anxiously awaited in the living room, pacing until he heard the first cry of his daughter, who would forever change his perspective on the future. The girl was born healthy and vigorous, with her mother's green eyes and her father's dark hair, a combination that brought emotional smiles to everyone present. Evelyn, though exhausted from childbirth, radiated happiness as she cradled little Sarah, whispering promises of love and protection. The celebration extended through the following week, with neighbors bringing gifts, homemade food, and offers of help for the new parents. John, holding his daughter for the first time, felt an indescribable emotion as he realized his family had grown in a way he had never imagined possible. The ranch he had declared dead now pulsed with new life and endless possibilities. 2 years later, the Miller-Harper Ranch had become a model of success in the state of Texas, receiving delegations from other states interested in replicating the cooperative system developed by Evelyn. Sarah grew healthy and curious, already taking her first steps through the house's corridors and charming everyone with her cheerful personality. John discovered he was a devoted father, carrying his daughter on his shoulders during morning inspections and teaching her the first lessons about animal care. Evelyn masterfully balanced the responsibilities of mother, wife, and businesswoman, expanding the business to include dairy processing and canned goods production. The cooperative now had 32 members, generating direct and indirect jobs that completely revitalized the local economy. Friday nights at the saloon transformed into family gatherings where children played while adults discussed plans for the prosperous future unfolding before everyone. The community that once resisted change now celebrated the transformation that a woman in a red dress had brought to their lives. The dawn of the 20th century found the Miller-Harpers established as one of the most influential families in the region, owners of an agricultural empire spanning thousands of acres. John, now 50, maintained the energy and enthusiasm of one who had discovered the true meaning of personal fulfillment. Evelyn, respected as a business visionary, received invitations to speak at universities on sustainable rural development. Sarah, already 3 years old, grew up surrounded by her parents' love and the admiration of an entire community that saw her as a symbol of renewal and hope. The ranch that John had once declared dead with Martha now buzzed with activity. Modern tractors, climate-controlled stables, and an agricultural research center that attracted scholars from all over the country. During the New Year's celebrations of 1900, the couple toasted on the porch of their renovated home, observing the lights of the town that had grown around their success. The story of the widowed rancher and the blonde in red had become a local legend, proving that sometimes love arrives when we least expect it, dressed in the most improbable colors. The summer of 1901 brought a devastating drought that once again tested the resilience of the community and the leadership of the Miller-Harper couple. Rains ceased completely for 4 consecutive months, forcing John and Evelyn to implement drastic measures to preserve livestock and crops. The artesian well system they had drilled years earlier became the salvation not only of their own ranch, but of the entire region, when Evelyn proposed sharing water with neighbors in exchange for cooperative labor. John coordinated the teams that transported water in wagons across the parched fields, while his wife negotiated with suppliers from other states to ensure sufficient feed for the animals. Sarah, then 4 years old, accompanied her parents on visits to needy neighbors, learning early about solidarity and social responsibility. The crisis further strengthened community ties, demonstrating that the union created by the cooperative transcended simple economic interests, transforming into a true network of mutual support among families. During the critical autumn, a tragedy threatened to shake the foundations of the prosperous community when an accidental fire completely destroyed the cooperative's central warehouse, consuming thousands of dollars worth of products stored for sale. John and Evelyn faced their first major financial crisis as a couple, finding themselves forced to mortgage part of their lands to cover the losses of the associates. Solidarity manifested touchingly when the cooperators themselves organized to contribute free labor to the reconstruction, refusing to abandon the project even in the face of difficulties. Evelyn demonstrated her leadership ability in adverse times, renegotiating contracts with buyers and securing emergency financing from Houston banks. John, in turn, personally coordinated the reconstruction efforts, working from dawn until late at night. The experience taught the couple that true success is measured not only in profits, but in the ability to overcome adversity while keeping united those who trust in our leadership. The arrival of 1902 marked the beginning of a new era of prosperity, when the railroad finally reached Abilene, definitively connecting the region to major national markets. Evelyn had negotiated for 2 years with the railway company to ensure the line passed near the town, arguing about the economic potential of the region developed by the cooperative. The inauguration of the train station became a 3-day celebration, with residents from neighboring counties coming to celebrate the progress that would forever change local life. John proudly watched the first train loaded with cattle from his ranch depart towards the Chicago meatpackers, realizing a dream that seemed impossible when Evelyn had arrived in the saloon dressed in red. Little Sarah, fascinated by the steaming locomotive, declared that one day she would travel by train to see the whole world, drawing emotional smiles from her parents. The railway connectivity multiplied the cooperative's profits by more than 200%, definitively consolidating the region's economic transformation. The accelerated growth of the businesses brought new administrative challenges that forced Evelyn to hire her first specialized employees, transforming the makeshift office into a modern corporate headquarters. An experienced accountant from Dallas began to manage the cooperative's complex finances, while an agricultural engineer was hired to optimize production techniques. John gradually adapted to the new reality, learning to delegate responsibilities without losing direct control over the ranch's operations. The weekly cooperative meetings moved from the saloon to a hall built specifically for that purpose, equipped with blackboards and detailed maps of the region. Evelyn implemented a system of monthly reports that allowed monitoring the individual performance of each member, identifying opportunities for improvement and specific needs for technical support. The professionalization of processes ensured greater efficiency and transparency, fundamental elements for maintaining the trust of associates during the period of rapid business expansion. The birth of the couple's second child, Thomas Miller, in March 1903, completed their family happiness and symbolized the continuation of the dynasty that John and Evelyn were building. The boy was born robust and healthy, immediately spoiled by his older sister, who spontaneously assumed the role of protector. John proved even more fulfilled as a father, dividing his time between teaching Sarah about horse care and rocking Thomas during restless nights. Evelyn, even facing double motherhood, remained active in business administration, adapting her routine to include family demands without compromising her business leadership. The main house was again expanded to accommodate the growing family, gaining a larger nursery and a study room where Sarah began to receive her first formal lessons. The couple hired an experienced governess to assist with childcare, allowing Evelyn to continue dedicating adequate time to the projects that transformed the community. Afternoons on the porch now included children's games and stories told by John about the ranch's early days. The 10th anniversary of Evelyn's arrival in Abilene was celebrated with a large community party that brought together over 500 guests, including state authorities and representatives from other cooperatives interested in learning about the model developed by the couple. John, speaking emotionally before the crowd, recalled the night a blonde in a red dress forever changed the destiny of his life and the entire community. Evelyn, elegant in a navy blue dress that contrasted with the simplicity of her first days in town, thanked the support received over the years and announced plans to expand the cooperative model to other states. Sarah and Thomas, dressed in their finest clothes, ran among the guests, receiving affection and demonstrating the joy that characterized the new generation born from the improbable union. The celebration included musical performances, rodeo competitions, and a banquet that lasted late into the night, solidifying the Miller-Harper family's reputation as generous hosts and visionary leaders. The ranch that John had declared dead had become the beating heart of a prosperous and united community.